What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. I hope y'all been having a great Tuesday. In this video today, we're going to break down the potential for a tornado outbreak in the deep south, Louisiana. I'm talking about parts of Mississippi, and even parts of Alabama. We're going to break this down, see how bad it could potentially get, the wind threat with this, and get deep into this and see who's really at risk for a tornado potentially. The last threat on Christmas Eve did not pan out. In the weather world, we call it a bust, but it's a good thing because people's lives wasn't disturbed. Nobody was injured. Nobody died. Thankfully, in what could have been a bad tornado outbreak in parts of eastern North Carolina, it did not pan out that great. But we're going to talk about this breakdown. Before we get going, guys, if you haven't subscribed, much appreciated if y'all do. Like the video if y'all like it. If you're a first-time viewer, and even if you have been watching my videos for a while, I want to add this really quick. My videos will get much better. I know the quality of them is not that great. The audio is probably not the best, and watching my mouth move in the picture down here at the bottom probably doesn't always match every time. It's probably because my internet's not the fastest. But I'm going to get there. Next year's going to be a big improvement year for me, and my videos will get better. I've already came a long way, trust me. If you've been watching since early part of this year, I was recording videos in my shed and basically talking over images on an iPad. So came a long way. So I appreciate all y'all's support. Bear with me, the videos will get better. And thank y'all for following along. So let's get deep into this. So if we're looking here, Storm Prediction Center is throwing out that slight risk for even parts of Texas here, far eastern, southeastern parts of Texas, Louisiana, probably about almost 75% of Louisiana. Mississippi, about half the state, and a good chunk of Alabama is in a slight risk for severe weather. The main threat with this, no hail expected. This is normally in winter months, you don't get a big time hail threat in the eastern U.S. So this is going to be for really a wind threat and a potential tornado threat. Now, I say this in every video, level 2 out of 5 in the severe weather, whatever you want to call it, the legend, the outlook. It doesn't sound that bad, but level 2 out of 5 is pretty significant. It's you got marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. I've chased storms in a slight risk category, and they ended up being the best storms I've ever chased. If you want to check it out, I have one from Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, and that was in a slight risk. It's actually, I think, the first video that shows up when you click on my page. One of the best storms I ever chased in my life. It was a classic supercell. But anyways, so a slight risk for you guys. And there's going to be a tornado threat, and it's going to be kind of like the threat that was in eastern North Carolina. Basically, you're going to have a cluster of storms that forms ahead of the cold front, and there's going to be potential in the moist sector or the warm sector, whatever you want to call it, basically where the temperatures are able to increase and the dew points are very high for this time of the year. We're also going to talk a little bit about the potential, and I think this is going to decrease, but we'll watch. And parts of the Carolinas, Georgia, 15% chance of something, maybe some severe weather in this area. But I think cold air damming is going to play a big time effect on this and may limit a real big potential for severe weather here. But we're going to talk about that too. So let's get going with the NAM here. So this is the latest NAM. Actually, another one's going to come out probably here in an hour or two. But here we go. It all goes only out to 60 hours. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. As we're getting to the time frame, we're getting into tomorrow. We're getting into around tomorrow afternoon now. And this is the cold front. This is basically your boundary right here. You got showers breaking out. I'll show you in a second. The Carolinas are deep into a CAD. Tomorrow's going to be a raw day. If you're listening from the Carolinas, tomorrow is going to be a raw day for 90% of the Carolinas. Might be trapped in the 40s and 50s with drizzle, cloudiness, just your classic raw winter day. But here comes the system here. You got low pressure that really develops over Texas. But here it comes. You got a cluster of storms that moves out of Texas. And this is the morning time of New Year's Eve, so Thursday. Obviously, you don't really have a big time favorable environment here. But as you get later into the morning, you're starting to get into the afternoon. This is the main cold front right here. This is a squall line that could form, whatever you want to call it. That could form right here along the cold front. We're going to watch this. That has its own severe weather threat. But the big one that has the tornado potential in it, there is a tornado potential for some spin-ups in this line, is these storms that fire up right here. These little clusters of storms might be a little difficult to see on your screen, but for you guys in even New Orleans, definitely in New Orleans, southern Mississippi, parts of Alabama, these little clusters of storms are going to basically come off the Gulf and really get going in a warm sector right here. And we're going to kind of watch to see what happens here. I mean, basically, you have these individual little cells that pops up ahead of this cold front, and there's going to be enough cape in this area, and I'll show you in a second, that's going to provide with plenty of shear, plenty of wind energy to this setup right here. That's really going to provide a tornado threat here in places in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and things like that. So, and here it goes. I'm going to show you something for the Carolinas and Georgia because this NAM goes out a little bit further. So here it comes. It's not as detailed. It's not as pretty of a look. You can't really tell where's what and everything like that. But here it comes. This goes out to 84 hours. The threat of individual cells goes away. But two things that's going to play a big time factor here is going to be cold air damming. Are you going to get some stabilized air? Well, you're not going to get any instability inside the wedge. Where you will get instability is, and I'll show you. And here we go. Let's go on and fast forward to that time frame. So we're getting into Thursday, around where this time cluster of storms is going to move into the Carolinas. But you're getting into Thursday evening, and according to the NAM can be so aggressive with the cold air damming. It actually has us in the 30s for tomorrow in South Carolina, which is way overdone as far as temperatures. But if you compare this with that, back it up here, you got the storm still way down here, but as you're getting into New Year's, which is when the threat's going to shift to the Carolinas, and you move it to this time frame, let's get up right here. You still have a little bit of cold air damming effect, but look in Columbia, parts of the low country of South Carolina, Georgia, it's heating on up. It's starting to knock that cold air damming out, erode the CAD. Actually, a meteorologist here, a guy named Hunter, who works for National Weather Service here in Columbia, actually said today that whatever the model is showing for cold air damming, go on and add another 18 to 24 hours to it, meaning it's going to be intact a lot longer than what modeling shows. So this may be still down here. Where the CAD sets up in the Carolinas for New Year's Eve, if you're in the CAD, which you'll be in the cooler, stabilized air, you're not going to get a severe weather threat. 100% of the time you're not. If you're just south of it, in fact, if you're right around the boundary right here, you could actually get a tornado threat, because basically you got two different atmospheres colliding together, and you got two different wind speeds. You got a cold air damming is basically you're getting winds out the northeast coming here, funneling in some trapped cold air, and then you got these winds moving out the southwest that's kicking through. So you got two different wind speeds colliding against each other. It causes some spin to the atmosphere, causes a real localized tornado threat where some storms can form around that area. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens sometimes, and it happens in the Carolinas every once in a while. So here it comes. It starts to get eroded though, and I think the cold air damming will erode. And I think New Year's Day could be a tricky forecast for people in the Carolinas, especially in my area. They're actually forecasting 60s and 70s, but there's a chance we could get stuck in the cold air damming all day in the wedge, and it might be in the 50s all day, but we just don't know. And here's a good model of it, and it goes out there, but there's going to be tons of shear. So in this system, for this tornado threat down here, this is basically wind energy. You're going to have a ton of wind energy, so that's not the problem. The big thing we have to watch for is how much cape. And I've mentioned this in a few videos throughout the last couple weeks. When you add a little bit of cape to a lot of shear, even if it's a little bit, and this is over 1,000, maybe 1,200, maybe 1,500, it really enhances the tornado threat. Cape is storm fuel, energy needed, convective energy needed to maybe cause a tornadic storm or a rotating storm, which is what we call supercells. So will something form here? There will be plenty of energy, not plenty, but there will be a good bit of energy here in the southern and in the deep south here. And if you look at the supercell composite parameter, it does get there's a high area right here just west of Louisiana that really gets going. This is probably and what a supercell is a rotating thunderstorm. So it's a thunderstorm that could drop a tornado. So there's really high risk here in areas of South Louisiana, and it gets going and probably doesn't stay as intact as it gets into Alabama, Mississippi. But the tornado parameter here, it's elevated right there. So I'm telling you, I think if there's an area where we're going to see any tornadoes, I think it really is going to be this area in Louisiana right here. So watch out, you guys. Y'all could really get a tornado or two. Hopefully not, but this is an area we got to watch out for sure. But that's all I got. The HRRR model comes in the range tomorrow big time, so we can really maybe get some potential tracks. It likes to throw out some where spin-ups can occur. It tries to predict it. So we'll check out that. Thank y'all for watching. Keep y'all updated. Y'all have a blessed night.